Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 251st episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. If you missed Samantha Bennett, our repeat guest, to go back to 250. She just wrote her second book. I've known her for at least since 2011, end of 2011. I know her mom as well. They're both friends. They're both clients. Good people. Samantha's got a great story and great tips that you can put into practice right away to get unstuck, to get on track, to start right where you are, to get it done. So go check it out and then apply what it is she covers. Okay? Coming up in the next interview, we got Jesse Halleck. Really interesting story. He is a sales guy at Infusionsoft. But he started a business that went into 8 or 9 figures. It was just insane. And he tells his story of how he started it, how he built it, how he went national, how he went international, and then how he sold it. And then he went back to doing sales. So things are not always what it's cracked up to be, although I don't know how much money he has sitting in the bank, but I would guess a pretty good amount. But he's still a young guy, and he just wanted to go back into sales. So really interesting story of how he built that up. So you're in for a treat there. Today, we've got Jeremy Pope. Jeremy is the partner of Jason Kanigan. So we had Jason on back on 242. And this interview goes a little bit long. I went into a new format. He agreed to be a guinea pig. I'm experimenting with some a new flow, maybe some same set of questions every time. I had done this as a written interview in the past. And I've had people fill this out. Discussing it went a little long. And I didn't even get to all the questions. But it's interesting. Jeremy was a good sport. He answered all of them that I threw at him. And then we've been in touch afterwards, discussing things like the Pendulum book that you hear us discuss during this episode. So you're in for a treat, even though it's a little bit longer. I did cut it off when I realized I couldn't get to everything. And I'm still testing these questions. I've stuck with them for the most part, but I have streamlined it in the future interviews. But, always tweaking this. I'm bringing on a new team to help me get these out faster and even higher quality content. We're looking at getting some downloads, documents you can get from each episode. So, hey, I'm a product of the product, right? I eat my own dog food. I tell you, you got to be constantly testing and iterating, and I'm doing the same thing. So, and I usually leave in all the mistakes as well, so you get to see them as I do them, because what the heck? It's better that way, and I can get it done faster anyway without editing everything. All right? Now, hey, if you need some help, you've heard me talk about this. Take action, pretty please. MakeEverySale.com. Lifetime access, over 41 interviews, 41 videos. I'm adding them all the time. Interviews with guest experts. I'm on. You can ask questions all the time in our private group. Lifetime access to that. We've been doing weekly calls. You get access to that, the recordings of the calls, templates, boilerplate agreements, things you can use that would cost you thousands of dollars to make. So join us, would you please? MakeEverySale.com. And if you need private help, one-on-one help, check out bestcrmhelp.com. You get my team, you get me for 90 days to help you execute and implement. Like I say, automate, integrate, and dominate. That's the plan, and that's what will help you execute. All right? bestcrmhelp.com. Now let's bring on our guest. Jeremy Pope. The jury is still out if you are the better half or the lesser half of Jason Kanigan. But welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm well, and I can answer that question right now.
Oh, we have to keep them in suspense till the very... You can't answer it. Our listeners have to be the judge of it at the end.
Oh, I see.
However, though, I am kind of curious. How would you answer that question?
I am biased in his favor. I wouldn't have brought him on if I thought I was just going to be the better half of everything. Wouldn't have been much worth it.
If you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room, huh?
Exactly.
Very nice. So you two have partnered up. You're doing theclosingengine.com, right? /group. Got some cool things going on there. Would you mind take a minute or two, tell our listeners about that? And we're going to dive down the new guinea pig rabbit hole. We're going to call it the guinea pig hole. Is that? I don't know. But anyway,
sounds good.
Tell us about what you and Jason are up to.
Sure. We do something very niche and geeky. We do phone sales for mid and high ticket coaches and service providers. So anybody with a program of about $3,000 or more, when they start hitting the wall, when they start running out of time to do their own strategy calls and phone appointments, they call us so they can scale. So generally they've tried to hire one or two salespeople over the past year and they've failed.
Okay.
Because either they find, well, you've run sales organizations, you know that how much management salespeople take.
Right.
So you might as well do it yourself. But then you hire a salesperson, you have to manage them, you have to deal with hiring, firing, recruiting, training, with all the technology, with the CRM, you know all about
I
the
wish
CRM.
People trained.
Yep.
If people trained, I wouldn't be the sales whisperer. I would just stayed in corporate America and made a lot of money.
Exactly.
But I digress.
Exactly. So it's all pretty time consuming, and it becomes tremendously more time consuming when your focus needs to be in other places.
Right.
When your heart's just not in that thing. And yeah, any good business owner can make themselves do what they need to do.
Right.
But boy, they're starting to think they're hitting that $400,000 a year to $1.5 million a year barrier.
Right.
And they can't handle their own phone sales anymore. And they go, I have to be creating strategic partnerships. I have to be creating my next course. I have to be coaching my high ticket clients here.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's what we do. We come in and handle the sales department.
Now, is it a virtual sales team or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could, like, in my case, I mean, I'm kind of hitting that plateau or that ceiling. So I could come to you.
Oh, excellent. That's a high class problem.
Yeah. So I could come to you and you could assign one or two people. I mean, would they be full time or I guess it's whatever
Depends on what the client needs.
Okay.
Yeah. We do a management fee to cover everything every month. And then we charge a percentage of revenue, and we're expensive too. I mean, the industry average is 20% commission straight to the salesperson, and we charge significantly more than that because we're not providing a salesperson.
Okay.
But we cross-train multiple people on the product. We send them through the product, to make sure that we vet it and make sure we're proud to be repping it, that it fits with our morals and our ethics. And B, so that they can know what they're talking about.
Okay.
There's always that. Are you familiar with David Sandler?
Sure.
And the Sandler sales training?
Yep.
They talk about the dummy curve and how the person who's too technically minded starts giving away free consulting and starts getting into details the prospect just doesn't want to know. So we try to avoid that.
Right.
But they do need to have an understanding of what they're selling.
Right.
So that's kind of how it works, and it makes us very flexible.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, you agreed to be a guinea pig today. And,
I did.
We have it on tape, so you can't back out.
Right.
As I mentioned, I way back in the day, man, I have to go look at the dates on it. I think it was like 2009. I had a short series, interviewed a few guys in writing, and they were sales professionals, and I ran across those questions. So I thought, you know what? Actually, with Jason's I published his episode today. So as our listeners are tuning in, if they go back and check out episode 242, they can listen to Jeremy's interview, and I'm sorry, Jason's interview, and so now we've got Jeremy going on. But I actually tweaked my opening, and because I'm trying to streamline things, make it more efficient.
Yeah.
I'm working with a new VA team. I'm training them on how to take this production off of my plate. And I'm like, do I need bumper music? Do I need, all these cutesy things, or can we just jump right into it? And so, it felt better to me just to get after it. And so we'll see. So now you'll be the second iteration of me streamlining this with these questions.
All right.
So we shall see how it goes.
Let's see if we can get it down to 6 minutes.
Drum roll, please. Doesn't have to be 6 minutes, but
drum roll.
Putting a little structure in this. I mean, I'll be 47 in a couple of weeks, and maybe I need some structure in my life. I don't know. I mean, I need more fiber, so maybe I need more structure too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you Air Force Academy graduates all seem to just need more structure.
More structure, baby.
That's how it goes. My brother's the same way.
Don't let me.
All right, drum roll. You say
it.
Drum roll. Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
How long have you been in sales?
Oh, since 2000. So 17 years now.
There you go. Very nice. And how did you get started?
I got started selling to attorneys.
Whoa.
I was selling my body to attorneys.
Very interesting.
And it was pretty niche. I had been trained in how to do genealogy for land. It's called title abstraction. So whenever somebody wants a loan, the loan company insists on title insurance in case there's a lawsuit about it. The title insurance company insists that the closing attorney goes and searches back 40, 50 years on the history of that land to make sure that the title is clear. So the attorney would outsource it to me.
So you did
I was
title
selling
searches.
Outsourced services. Yeah, I was doing title searches.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not quite as dramatic as what you made it out to be. I'm just saying.
Perhaps not. So the big thing, it saved them the drive. Because in Georgia at the time, you had to actually visit the courthouse in most counties.
Right.
So I was renting out my body basically just to drive to a courthouse and look something up that the attorney didn't have time to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So this one is a little bit esoteric in a way, but what is the impact of a career in sales? What impact has it had on your life?
It's been a lot of different things. I think the biggest thing is that it's taught me the importance of service. Not just customer service, though that's a passion of mine, but really the attitude of giving and the attitude of paying attention to what's in front of you, to who's in front of you. It's one of the hardest things I've found to train people in, because I started out life, I'm a firstborn, and I was always a bossy little, well.
Hey, I'm a firstborn too. Watch yourself.
All right. So I don't know, I was not a very caring person as a child or a teenager. Okay. But when I went into sales, when I started doing that, I started learning, I had to pay attention. I had to really pay attention to the person in front of me and learn what they wanted, not what I wanted them to want.
Right.
That was probably the biggest impact. And in 2002, I was selling SAT prep on the basis of nothing else than a great SAT score. I was 50 points away from a perfect score. And so I was trying to compete with Kaplan and Sylvan and that kind of thing, the people who are the big guns selling the SAT prep. And I was doing some learning acceleration, some NLP and hypnosis stuff to go along with that. And
were you learning that to help you with sales?
No, I was learning that to help me with memory.
Oh.
And I had started doing self-hypnosis to help myself with memory. And I started doing it with my clients. And then my clients' moms wanted help stopping smoking. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. And so then I took an NLP practitioner course and started into hypnosis full on pretty shortly thereafter with weight loss and stop smoking. And so the NLP practitioner course, that was really the first formal-ish exposure I had to sales methodologies and everything. You know, sales is not a real formal field when you get right down to it.
Right.
But there's a lot of down and dirty I learned very quickly after that.
Yeah.
But how to pay attention and why to pay attention.
Well, and it was interesting how you opened this answer talking about giving and listening to what the customer wanted, because on the outside looking in, that's not the reputation we have as salespeople.
It's not.
Right. In all of my trainings, I'll write on a piece of paper, I'll write on the board and cover it up. I'm like, when you think of the word salesman, a career in sales, what adjective springs to mind? You know, and
pushy is one of the big ones that comes to mind for most people.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 times, pushy is the first word that comes out, and 10 out of 10 times, pushy comes out from with just a little prodding. And so deep down, everybody thinks salespeople are pushy, but professional salespeople are not pushy.
Yeah, the good ones are not.
And so be a good one, right?
Right. Right.
All right. What do you like most about sales?
What do I like most about it? Oh, a lot of the same things. I've talked to a lot of high-performing salespeople, the real rock stars. We almost called the closing engine ineedsuperstars.com. We registered the domain and everything. But the superstars in this business, they believe in what they do. They really believe in what they do without fail. And having meaningful work, that means a lot to me personally. And being able to work with my clients and make a significant difference in their lives, that makes a big difference to me. I've sold a lot of different things, from $3,000 hypnosis packages when I was doing that to hourly work or piecework when I was selling to attorneys, to vegetable slicers. I was a literal pitchman in Sam's and Walmart.
Very nice.
But so it's not just sales in general, but the ability to choose is a big deal for me. Having options. You never run out of options when you're really solid with sales.
You mean like insofar as having a career or picking things to sell?
Yeah. Selling vegetable slicers is not something I would do again because it just doesn't matter enough.
Right.
But it was fun for a while, but
sure.
There's a lot more than fun involved in what I'm doing now.
So you mentioned Sandler. Is that a sales methodology you follow, or are there others?
Yeah, I like a lot of Sandler stuff. I agree with their philosophy probably about 2/3, 70%, something like that. We use a similar – we start by getting the closes out of the way.
Yep.
A backwards closing system, if you will. And I really like how Sandler does that as well. When I first came across Sandler, it was it kind of rang me like a bell.
Yep.
Because I was like, this is what I do. This is it. Everybody telling me I've been wrong, do it a different way all this time.
Yep. This
is a respected sales methodology dating back to, 1976, before I was born. So, it's solid, and they were very articulate with it. So there's a lot I agree with there.
Right.
I like some things that Jordan Belfort has to say. I've done a couple of his courses, and he comes from a very different.
What's that? For those that don't know who he is.
Yeah, the Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
Yeah. Jordan Belfort has a course called Straight Line Sales. That's a pretty good course if you're coming from that I want you to want what I have instead of I want what you need for yourself.
Oh,
it's not a client-focused approach, but it's got a lot of interesting stuff in there, and he does have serious skills, obviously.
Right.
But he teaches a couple of things that I really like. He's one of the best at tonality that I've ever seen. Being an NLP practitioner, I care a lot about tonality and what inflections you use when you get down to it. How inflections can be used to frame an issue. And he's better at that than I've probably only met 3 people that are better at it than he is.
Wow. And
they're all hypnotists and NLP practitioners. He's just fantastic. He's also very good with objection handling, in that objection handling was a weak point for me for a long time.
Right.
And so what I learned to do, because I was weak at it, I learned to just set the frame very strong at the beginning so the objections never came up. I would pre-answer objections.
Right.
And I still like doing things that way. It's comfortable for me.
Sure.
But most people teach, okay, handle the objection and then ask for the sale again.
Right.
It's just answer, close again, answer, reclose.
Right.
And he teaches the looping technique that is not too dissimilar to some Tom Hopkins kind of stuff, where you get the objection, you slightly deflect from it in a way that lets them know you're gonna answer it. You're not just ignoring them. And then you go back, you answer it, and then you build value again for a while before you even get back to another asking for it. Gotcha. And so it gives them time to process. It gives them time to think. It makes it not feel like an ambush or like you're trying to pull something on them.
Right.
So, yeah, Belfort's got some solid stuff. Tom Hopkins, we all know and love Tom.
Oh yeah, I've had Tom on the sales podcast.
Oh really? Oh, nice. I'll have to go find that and listen to it.
Dude, you
That's
haven't
awesome,
listened to all of mine in order and rated all. What are we going to do with you?
Not all of them. I think I'm on 113. I started this week.
Well,
yeah, so.
if you'd have gone 2 more, you'd have gotten Tom at number 115.
115. All right, there we go.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Go,
he's such a good dude. He was a lot of fun having on. Very interesting.
So, and the war stories.
The Wolf of Wall Street. All right. So, who is the best sales manager you've ever had?
The best sales manager I've ever had. That is an interesting one. That is hard to say because they've all been very different. I've had a lot of very different careers. Too many different careers, as a matter of fact. But the best one that I've ever had, his name was Matt McClellan, and he was a Radio Shack guy, as a matter of fact. This was a long, long time ago. So he was one of the highest praise people that I've ever talked to. And he kept the environment in that Radio Shack so healthy. And Radio Shack does not have a healthy corporate culture.
Right.
It's a fear-driven corporate culture, and they can all kind of feel the organization imploding year by year.
And they did.
Yeah. Yeah. That fear did not get them out of it.
No.
But he insulated his people from that, and he had a very healthy environment in his store.
Right.
That was probably the best sales manager that I ever had. Maybe the best manager that I ever had, period.
Cool.
I've had good managers who are good trainers, but he was the best manager.
Right.
Yeah.
So what made your worst manager so bad? And you don't have to name names on the worst manager.
I'll leave that one alone. Yeah.
But what made him or her so bad?
Lack of fun. That was kind of it. It was a total numbers focus, and a regular focus on threats and feelings of instability, rather than making your people feel secure and helping them to grow.
Right.
It was a grow or else, get better, fix it or else kind of situation constantly.
Right.
And that doesn't create a healthy culture. I'm a big fan of Barbara Corcoran, who is one of the sharks on Shark Tank.
Yep.
Every time I see her speak, she just wows me with her understanding of motivation and she's not sophisticated about it. She's very down home and she gets creative, but she's not fancy. She keeps things simple. She makes it fun. She recognizes people. And if you're familiar with the 5 love languages, I am not a words of praise guy.
Right.
My thing is quality time all the way through. But she understands how to recognize people and how to tap into what people really want. Right. So she's selling to her salespeople. She's selling her salespeople continually. Yeah. And she thinks that way. And so emulate her, and you'll do well with the sales management stuff.
Very cool. So how do you prepare for a big meeting?
I don't really have big meetings. Not so much.
Did you ever have a big meeting?
Let's see. Yeah, I have, but I don't really care for that dynamic in particular. Right. The times when I get myself into a situation where I have a big meeting and I think of it like a big meeting, are times when I have usually found myself outside of my element. Right. For instance, I was in the offliner space.
Offliner?
Offliner. Yeah, that's what they call it. Okay. So folks who help a local business like an attorney or a dentist or a doctor's office or something like that, help them do online marketing, help an offline business get online. Oh, okay. You might call that an offliner. It's the typical term.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Okay.
Yeah. So we would set them up with text message campaigns, with marketing campaigns. We would set up their active campaign to integrate with their CRM and develop marketing material and stuff like that. So the thing that burned me out on that industry was dealing with a large series of clinics up around Chicago, and very nice people, but we had 7 contacts at one company. And it was almost like every one of them had to sign off on everything that happened. Right. It was a very inefficient process, and they didn't really understand the importance of the types of marketing that we were doing. They weren't using their email list, for instance. Right. Right. So the kinds of meetings that we had with them were really trying to convince them of something. Trying to sell them that they should do the thing, not that we should be the ones to do the thing with them. Yeah. And so I can't really think of a situation where I would feel like I'm in a really big meeting now. There are clients that are bigger clients than others. I guess that could be it. But I tend to go into everything pretty much the same way. I make a few notes on, okay, what are my outcomes here? Make a few notes on what do I think this person wants and why do I think that? Make a few notes on their communication style, if I have access to anything like that, and any reading I've done with them. And then just go to the bathroom and get a glass of water, and I'm ready to go. I mean, that's pretty much it. Oh, no, there is one other thing that I do. One other thing. I pray beforehand to make sure that I'm in a giving attitude. Okay. That's huge. That's huge for me, and it goes back to the mindset stuff. Right. Anytime I'm on a sales call for a client or for myself, If that person doesn't walk away feeling like they got a lot of value from that call and knowing what their next steps are, like having real clarity about what they need to do next, whether or not they work with me, then I don't feel like I've done my job. So and that does kind of, yeah.
How do you juggle that? How do you juggle giving free consulting?
Yep.
Right? And holding back a little bit so they pay for your advice?
I am pretty close to where Sandler is on, where the Sandler people are on the giving free consulting idea. But the way I draw the line is after we're done, then I give them next steps.
Okay.
That's when I give any free consulting that's going to happen.
Okay.
But the stuff that I do, they can't consult their way out of it. I mean, they can't learn their way out of the problems that I solve.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that I do with myself and clients is I make sure that the frame is set so that people don't think they can learn their way out of this problem.
Right.
They understand this is not a learning thing. This is not a shopping issue.
Right.
If I'm selling something that they can shop for, I'm probably selling the wrong thing.
Right.
There's the occasional exception, of course, but I work very hard to make myself unshoppable.
Right.
And the way you build the package matters. The way you position yourself publicly matters. And the way you pay attention matters. Those three things are huge issues to me so that people aren't coming in after the free consulting.
Right.
Now, where I differ from the Sandler mindset on that is that I don't mind giving free consulting. I have to keep myself from doing it too much. So that, I mean, that's a struggle sometimes for me, but it's not an emotional, I never resent it or anything like that.
Right.
So going after, if someone's unqualified to be talking with me in the first place, okay, that's a qualification problem, not a sales problem, or not an emotional buildup or a limiting belief problem or something. They've made it through the qualification system and they shouldn't have. Okay. Right. But if they've made it that far, well, what can I do to help? I'm going to help them anyway. I'm not going to waste time on them.
Right.
But if someone is coming in and they're doing $120,000 a year, they can't really afford me.
Right.
Like, they're not going to think they can afford me. Okay, that's fine. They're just not in my target market yet.
Right.
So what can I do to help them get there? I have no reason not to help them grow. Okay, I'll talk with them a little bit about a CRM. I'll talk with them about how to commission people. I'll talk with them about how to put together their systems more effectively. Talk about their application before people get on the phone with them, things like that.
Right.
But there are a lot of pieces. We're starting to put together our marketing pieces that are kind of built on those peripheral things. Like, what does someone buy just before they come to us, just before they need us? So what are these? Who are they talking to? What tools are they interested in? What information are they consuming? What are they trying to learn just before they come to us? Can we get involved in that step?
Right.
And that's more properly a place for marketing than sales.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't be having a qualified conversation with someone who's unqualified.
Yep.
But if I do, I definitely will be happy to direct them back to the resources that they do actually need at the time.
Right. Very cool.
So that's kind of where I come down.
All right. These should be a little easier. What's the most you ever sold in a year?
Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. 5. My goodness.
Billions and billions.
Billions and billions. $3 million.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. That's a lot of Radio Shack cables.
A lot of warranties, right?
That's awesome.
You know, some of the things. It took me a long time to get more into high ticket sales. The first time that I did it, I was a loan officer, a mortgage broker, and it's just sales plus a bunch of logistics stuff, or plus a bunch of paperwork.
Well, you know, I mean, I guess we could turn that around.
Sell debt.
Yeah, I guess we could turn that around. Instead of saying dollar volume, maybe just transactions. You know, did you have like a busy year and close a lot?
Yeah. Sure. Well, I'm in whatever sales organization I'm in, I'm typically the number 1 or the number 2 closer.
Okay.
So I was a sales trainer for Guthrie Rinker, who a lot of direct response marketers become familiar with through Dan Kennedy.
Yep.
But I did sales training for them, and I would hop on the phones pretty frequently as well. But I was always their top consistent closer.
Right.
That's kind of where I come down. So number 1 or number 2, something like that.
Right. That's cool.
And yeah, but that was one interesting thing, because I found a lot of times when you start doing really well, people want to put you in sales training and sales management.
Right.
And you get screwed on the money when that happens. It's very typical.
Yes.
A good salesperson often should not go into sales training.
Yep.
The insurance industry is an exception to that, because they can build an agency, and it's kind of the model that the MLM companies come from, but it's a model that actually works, unlike most MLMs.
Right.
So, I often made the jump into sales training too soon.
Oh, wow.
That was something that hurt me many times over the years, because I let my ego get in the way.
Right.
And if I'd been listening to God a little bit harder, He would have told me, hey, stick with the commissions, stick with what you're doing. You're making good money. Stick here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's the biggest order you ever booked?
The biggest order? Well, mortgages.
Okay.
Yeah. I was not in a really, what do you call it, an affluent area.
Right.
So in South Georgia down there, big houses were around, probably top of the market was around $300,000 at the time.
Okay.
But that was the top of the range for me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Jason is the one. Actually, I don't have enterprise sales experience, or I would be able to say $5 million, $18 million. Jason is the one. That's one of the reasons I brought him on, because he does have enterprise sales experience. Mm-hmm. I've got some of the PR experience and the public positioning and framing and the marketing stuff, and he's got the enterprise sales. So
how?
I haven't asked him that, though. I'm going to have to ask Jason that. That'll be an interesting question for him.
Yeah, because I didn't ask him these questions. I just pulled him up this morning.
Yeah.
So how long did that deal take? Was it a pretty quick close? Did you have to fight for it?
I found that the bigger deals, as long as they're within your normal range and your normal process, they tend to go more easily than the tiny deals that are at the bottom of your range.
Right.
Because those are the people that can just flat out afford it.
Right.
So
they're not nickel and diming. You know, this company over here is 1/100th of a point lower, and we're going to go with them. Right. Yeah.
They're reasonable. They ask hard questions, but they move quickly.
Okay.
So the big ones tend to go pretty smoothly.
Right.
That one was, I guess, 320, and it pretty smooth. Yeah.
So why did they choose you?
Why did they choose me? Back then, I don't know, man, because I was not a great mortgage broker. In fact, that was one of the things that taught me only sell what you believe in. I was hurt so badly by debt in college that it kind of poisoned me against being able to sell debt, even though I intellectually totally understand owning your home is better in the long run than renting your home. It's more stable, and you're building equity as you go, et cetera. Just run the numbers. As long as the numbers work, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. That was something I did not have my head entirely wrapped around at the time.
Right.
And so, I don't know why they chose me.
How were you making sales? Maybe.
Hustling, man. Just going out and.
But I mean, if you didn't believe in it,
I believed in it enough to do some.
Okay.
And I knew that I was providing the best option that was out there.
Right. Okay.
That was the thing. I mean, I think that let's see. What's a government agency that overreaches its boundaries pretty frequently?
All of them?
all of them, right. Let's say EPA. EPA right. With their giant chemical spills in Colorado
right.
that EPA directly caused, and right. They're doing exactly what they shouldn't be doing. But there are good people there that are doing a good job there. Not all of them, but some of them.
Right.
And so helping someone to find the best piece of a bad situation, that can still be valuable work.
Right.
It's often not very rewarding work. It's not rewarding work for me, but it can be valuable work. And that was kind of how I had to frame things for a while. But I'm glad to be out of it.
Yeah. So that kind of dovetails into the next question. You kind of answered, because I'm saying, what did you learn from that process?
That was the biggest thing. Yeah. Sell what I believe in.
Right.
And I don't sell to mitigate problems anymore, or to do damage control, or to present people with Hobson's choice. Okay, what's the best option out of these three bad options? Mm-hmm. I don't like that situation personally. There are some people that can thrive in that, and it's valuable. I get it. But I'm not a plumber. I don't like dealing with sewers all the time and clogged toilets. There are people that do very well with that. I like helping high performers perform better. I like seeing things on the positive side of the scale, not just lessening. I could never be an oncologist, for mm-hmm. instance. Yeah. I could never be a palliative care doctor,
right.
Or a pain management doctor.
Right.
I need to be able to solve a problem, not to mitigate a problem.
How do you solve a problem in sales? This is
it depends.
This is off the script. I see people all the time because I'm in this field as well. And, usually a company with a few salespeople, it's tough. It's tough to help them find the right people, onboard them, have a good process, screen them, keep them trained, motivated, retained. Do you ever feel like sometimes maybe you're just scratching the surface, or maybe putting a Band-Aid on, a big wound?
No, not with this, because we are the sales department.
Yeah,
I'm not coming in and helping them with their sales department.
Right.
And that's that's exactly. I mean, what you just asked speaks exactly to what I'm talking about.
Right.
Jason and I have both done a lot of sales training, and sometimes you can solve problems with that, and a lot of times you mitigate the problem. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. I would rather come in and solve the problem entirely like we do.
Right. Yep. Cool.
But, you brought up something else with solving the problem there. A lot of times there are a lot of salespeople that think of themselves as problem solvers, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them. And the good salespeople tend to be good problem solvers, but the really interesting thing to me is finding the right problem to solve. And that is often an unspoken problem at first. So it's not being good at solving problems, it's being good at hunting problems. I'm not talking about just from an emotional standpoint, like the exposing pain, shining the spotlight on the pain so that they can realize that's it. That's part of it. But helping them learn, educating them on the deeper issues and why this thing they're thinking about really starts here. That's one of the most valuable things that I've found in sales.
Yeah. Can that be taught?
Yes, 100%. There are only a couple things that can't be taught easily by me, and those are a cheerful attitude, a can-do kind of approach. I just look for those things. I don't try and teach those things. Our culture is very much that way. But like in our company culture documents, we say something along the lines of, actually, just let me find it. Because I was just about to post that out, recruiting some more folks here. Yeah, we're a high initiative company, and we would generally rather err on the side of too much action rather than too much safety. If you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather it be an action mistake rather than an inaction mistake.
Yep. Very cool.
So, yeah.
So what is the biggest order you ever lost?
Biggest order I ever lost. Would have been a house again. Yep.
They just you thought it was in the bag and they went with someone else?
Yeah. That's something that I have to stay on myself about, is assuming that other people buy the same way that I do. Like
right.
Once I say, okay, I'm ready to go, then I'm ready to go.
Right.
That's how it goes. And a lot of sales managers select for that quality. Especially, you see that a lot in on car lots, for instance.
Right.
What's your buying process like? Anyway, sorry. So when I say, okay, give me a week and we'll be ready, that's right. Actually what I mean. So it used to be very easy for me to think that something was taken care of before the check had cleared.
Right.
So, when I discovered Sandler and their post-sale follow-up kind of stuff, that was a good series of little reminders there. Because that's how it usually would happen to me if I lost something. It wasn't because I never got started. It was because I assumed they meant what they said.
Right.
Yeah, so probably right in the same range, in that $350,000 range.
So it's a nice way of saying don't take people at their word.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe trust but verify.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll write that down. Trust but verify.
I think it's already been written.
I know, but this is your answer here, and we're working on.
My answer is trust but verify.
It is now.
Got it. Typical interviewer.
Yeah, baby, the magic of editing.
Right.
So, what's in your library, man?
Goodness. There's a lot of things that aren't books. They're courses instead.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from offliner trainers, from Jake Lorraine to Mike Cooch to some of the internet marketers. I've got a fair amount of Dan Kennedy stuff that I love.
Yep.
Dan Kennedy's known as a marketer, but he's a great salesperson as well. He's an excellent salesperson. J. Conrad Levinson, the guerrilla marketing, that was probably my introduction to marketing and really to sales on any kind of systemic scale.
Do you think you can be a great marketer without being a good salesperson?
Oh, I don't know. You can be a great copywriter without being a great salesperson.
Really?
Yeah, there are a lot of copywriters who are so introverted that they're intensely socially awkward. They just can't do people in person.
Yeah,
Roy Williams
is
a good example.
At their core, though, they're selling with their writing.
Oh yeah. I was making a distinction there. I guess you're not making. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
You have to understand the psychology.
Yeah.
You have to understand what motivates people, and you have to be able to get to it one way or another. You have to be able to find the levers and have the tools to pull those levers.
Right.
Whether you do it in print or whether you do it in person, different skill sets.
Yeah, you're writing that stuff to make a sale.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would write novels or, write music or something. I mean,
right.
They're in copywriting to make money.
Yeah.
So
with the folks like Gary Halbert, you get the idea. I mean, they have that larger than life persona.
Yeah.
Where they're a big friendly Russian bear in person kind of thing.
Right.
But there are plenty of severe introverts in the copywriting world.
Oh, yeah.
They can only do it on paper.
Right.
But they can do it like crazy on paper. Oh, that reminds me. Roy Williams is one person that's in my library that
you got the Wizard of Ads, huh?
Yeah. He wrote a book recently with
Michael Drew.
It may have been the Pendulum book.
Pendulum, yep.
I think that was Drew. Yeah.
Yep.
I have enjoyed that so much, and I have recommended that to so many people lately when it comes to the attitude behind sales.
Yep.
We are moving so much to a transparent way of thinking. We're moving so far away from the hype in the boiler rooms.
Yep.
And I think the internet marketing industry is about to start, like the ones who won't catch up to that, I think they're about to start getting crushed by the ones who will. Right. Gary Vee is an amazing example of the we versus me thinking that Williams and Drew talk about in Pendulum.
Right.
We're moving into that we peak in 2023, they say.
Right.
And as we move that direction, we'll see people like Gary Vee just absolutely, wipe out people who act like Gary Halbert in 2023.
Right.
People who act like Frank Kern of even just 8 years ago. Frank Kern doesn't act like Frank Kern acted 8 years ago.
Right.
So the people who are going to stay at the top of the game, they're going to adapt to that we thinking instead of the me thinking.
Right.
And they're going to move toward that transparency. Now, it's not all good. It's not a good versus bad kind of thing. They talk about that swinging back and forth every 80 years.
Right.
But I definitely believe that's where we're headed.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. You're into that too.
Oh yeah, I used to live in Austin. I've been going to
nice.
Roy. I've been going to Roy's stuff since 2002. I mean, before he had a campus.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a strip mall and jamming 30 people on folding chairs and we drank good beer and ate good food though always.
Yep. That's awesome, man. So have you been to like the Chapel Dulcinea and everything?
Oh, sure.
Awesome.
You betcha. I just put the book away. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Yep. I just reread it, and I talked a good bit about it on several episodes.
Oh, really?
Just earlier this year, I was helping break it down in the January-February time frame. I was rereading it, and spent a lot of time talking about it. So
that's cool. I'll have to go find those because I haven't spoken with anybody who's read it before I did, and so I haven't had a lot of people to discuss it with so far. It's just I've been telling people about it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'd love to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, good stuff. So what are you reading now?
What am I reading now? I'm reading Hug Your People.
Jay Baer?
This is by
Jay Baer's is Hug Your Haters.
Hug Your Haters. This is by Jack Mitchell.
Okay.
And it's about company culture.
Yep.
The proven way to hire, inspire, and recognize your employees and achieve remarkable results.
Cool.
I found a lot of the people who are very sales focused, they don't think about fulfillment. And I've been on both sides.
Right.
I was, I don't know. I've just always been interested in that side, in the good customer service side, and taking care of the people that I bring into the product or the organization or the membership or whatever it is that I'm selling.
Right.
Taking care of them afterward.
Cool.
That's how you get referrals. That's how you get upsells. That's how you get testimonials. That's how you get case studies. That's how you keep a customer.
Right.
So all that stuff matters every bit as much.
Right. All right.
In fact, we're one of the only, oh goodness. Well, we're one of the only companies that even does this in the first place.
Right.
But as far as I know, we are the only company that has a real focus on referrals, testimonials, upsells, and making sure that those people happily move into the next level of whatever you have to offer.
Right.
All the other sales organizations that I talk to are focused on the front end only.
Right.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
I think I bought 3 DVDs in my lifetime, and The Matrix was one of them. But I have to tell you, my favorite movie of the last 5 years was the Lego Movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It is one of the most ADD, fast-paced movies you'll ever see. It starts off so fast you're almost not sure you're watching the movie. Like it just jumps right into it. No big credits scene or anything like that.
All right. Who's a role model for you?
Ooh, several. My dad is the easy example. He's raised 5 of us. I'm the oldest of 5. The second brother, he's the one that went to the Air Force Academy. And Mom and Dad homeschooled us, almost all of us. And aside from me, they did a great job. So,
well, they kind of figured things out. And the second one, went to the academy.
Yeah.
So he's awesome. I'm going to have to look him up.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. I got
So Dad, he's a 5th generation farmer.
Oh, wow.
And he does, risk management that would scare the pants off me.
Right.
You know, they have to plan so far in advance.
Yep.
And they have to keep so many plates spinning that it's amazing to me. But his steadiness in a very uncertain industry, and his faith and the way that he's just stuck with things.
Right.
And I mean, he's brilliant and funny and an amazing musician as well. But his steadiness is one of the biggest things that I admire now that I'm an adult.
Yeah.
A mentor of mine, Scott McFall, he was a hypnosis mentor of mine for several years, and he has probably taught me more about life and how to do attitudes and psychology than anybody second to my parents.
Right.
Amazing fellow.
Cool.
And then I look up to, on the billionaire side of things, the Richard Branson is probably my favorite billionaire. Yeah.
We all have to have a favorite billionaire.
All right.
So how do you relax?
How do I relax? I ride an electric wheel.
An electric wheel?
Yeah. It's like a Segway, except it only has one wheel. It's called a King Song. And electric wheel, electric unicycle.
Oh.
And it's the best toy I bought in 3 years. No joke.
King Song.
Yeah.
Okay.
King Song 14C is what I've got. It'll go 40 miles on one battery charge.
Wow.
It'll go 20 miles an hour. And I ride it every day.
Very cool. All right. What 3 people would you like to have over for dinner?
I was thinking about that just the other day. I would like to have... It wouldn't be people that would be recognizable to your podcast listeners. It's just local people for the most part. But people who are just 1 or 2 steps ahead of me, not the Richard Branson types, right? People who are just 1 or 2 steps ahead of me, and really remember how they dealt with the stuff where I am right now.
Right.
Where I am right now. If we're doing the living or dead thing, I think Benjamin Franklin would be tremendous fun.
Yeah.
He seems like he would have been a blast. Let's see.
I watched the HBO series. I just finished it. I mean, I think it was from like 06 or 09, but on John Adams. And he was really tight with Ben Franklin, and Franklin was an interesting cat.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, there are a lot of fascinating characters. There are a lot of very strong leaders there.
What about the Sales Whisperer? I hear that's a cool dude.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. We can talk about Pendulum.
There you go.
Absolutely, yeah. Come on over.
That's your third answer.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we will end it there. I can't believe we've gone quite a while. Where should we send people to learn more about you, to get in touch with you and Jason? What do we have them do?
The easiest place is we'll set up a redirect link for the Facebook group. So send them to theclosingengine.com/group.
And so tell us about that group.
That group is Sales Call Overhaul. And what we're doing, we just got our first 5 interviewees lined up to do sales call overhauls, in keeping with the engine motif, right? And what we'll do, we will take mid and high ticket sales calls. So if you've got a sales call that's you're selling a product that's $2,000 or over, okay, send it on in. We will not review MLM based products. That does not fit with our model. And for our done for you stuff, we don't do spiritual products either. Most spiritual products tend to be pagan or new age kind of stuff, and I'm a Christian, so that's not a fit for me personally. But we'd be happy to review some more spiritual products, more like self-development that borders on spiritual stuff.
Right.
But so if they have a program for sale that's $2,000 or over, feel free to send in a call for review. We review these calls, and then the next Friday we have a guest on. We all listen to the call, we take our notes, and then we go over those notes on the call-in show. So we'll interview someone for 10-15 minutes, get into the call for 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end, some call-in Q&A. And that's kind of the focus of the group right now, but you know how Facebook groups go. They tend to scatter and spread out in the topics that get addressed. So we'll see what happens with it.
Is this new?
Yeah, we are just starting this group.
So people, do they record their own calls and send it to you?
Yes, absolutely.
And do just you listen to it, or do you play it for everybody, and everybody hears how it gets broken down?
We redact it first. They can redact it before they send it to us. Please do redact it before you send in something where you closed and you got a credit card on the phone.
Yeah.
If you don't have a way to do that, we can redact those as well. If you trust us to do it, that's fine. We can do it. But we prefer to have all that stuff totally taken care of before, so that you stay PCI compliant with the credit card industry.
Sure.
But we redact names from it, and so your client doesn't get exposed. We typically redact your name from it as well if your client is in an industry where they might come across this call, where they might be interested and they might hear this same call.
Right.
So we're discreet about things, but we definitely want people to submit their calls for these reviews. It's fun. We do these calls for $1,200. Wow. So we do these privately for $1,200.
Wow.
And we've had people come into programs where we're providing these calls as part of the overall program, where it's a $7,000 program, and say, this one call was worth the entire price of the program. This was worth $7,000 to me.
Right.
And I thought, wow, maybe I'm not charging enough. I'm not going to raise my prices on that particular thing because we're providing a good value for a good service. But
right.
With that, I mean, someone takes the reference book that we provide from a sales call, Overhaul, and they apply these, not just tips, but we apply these mindsets and the techniques that we give them, and they're going to increase their closing percentage by, I mean, if it's 15% and they're selling $100,000 a year right now, that's significant.
Sure.
If it's 20% and they're selling $200,000 a year, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fun, man. It's
Very
super
cool.
geeky, but it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I just sent you a link to join.
Awesome.
All right.
I'll put you in immediately.
All right. Jeremy Pope, all the way from Asheville, North Carolina. Thanks for coming on the Sales Podcast, man. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you for having me, Wes. It's been a pleasure. All right. I really do want to talk with you about that pendulum book sometime.
Sure. Let's line it up.
All right.
Man, it's evening time for you, so have a great evening, and I will see you on the group.
I'm going to go out and ride a bit. I'll see you in there.
All right, man.
Bye.
Have a great night. We went a little long, but I told you there was some good stuff up in there. I love his approach, towards hiring givers. Hire good people. And I tell my clients this all the time. Hire for aptitude. You can train the skills. Okay? Past, just like a mutual fund, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Same thing with salespeople. Just because they have sold okay in a previous job doesn't mean they will sell for you. But too many people put that as the main thing they look for. Or they hire somebody for a Rolodex. It rarely works out. Hire people for aptitude. Have a program whereby you can onboard, recruit, train, motivate, and retain top salespeople. I've got a course. I rarely mention it. I need to mention it more, I guess, because people keep making this mistake. But it's No More Sales Duds. NoMoreSalesDuds.com. Super affordable, simple program, really. But, it's powerful. It's the results. So look at that if you're having issues, because what I tell managers is you manage activity and you pay on results. But most managers don't know the activity their people should be doing. So they let them just kind of wing it. And then the only time they know they're doing bad is at the end of the month, end of the quarter, they don't make their numbers. And then everybody gets mad. You put them on a performance improvement plan and yell at them. And then you start monitoring what they do, but it's too late. You lost money. You lost opportunity. The opportunity cost will kill you. Stanford Smart, what was his name? I'm drawing a blank. I'll look him up. I think it's Bradford Smart was his name. But he had a book on, I think it's called Top Grading. And but he talked about the opportunity cost or the true cost to hire a bad salesperson. And it was like 3 to 5x of their salary. And it was because of the hiring, bringing them on board, and then the lost opportunity cost. You keep somebody on board for a year, and, you should be making 2x at least on your people, maybe even 10x. Okay, so 3 to 5x of their salary isn't that far off, right? It's right in line with the true cost of hiring poorly. That's why I recommend different personality tests once you screen people. But I have a very tough screening process that's really simple to implement and execute that helps you bring on the right people, help them bubble up through the ad, then screen them, put them through some paces, then bring them in, then test them, then make your final assessment. You got to be methodical. Okay, I always say, look at what you do 2 or 3 times a day or 4 or 5 times a week and figure out a process and preferably automate it. That includes your hiring and staffing of people. But I love what Jeremy talked about. He's got a system as well. He's a Sandler fan. I'm a Sandler fan. Everything changed when David Sandler died. But good content in there. I follow a lot of it. I teach a lot of the same principles. In the Make Every Sale program. You have enrolled, right? MakeEverySale.com. Check that out. But, I love the way he answered all the questions, right? We get into worst manager, best manager. the Guthrie Rinker experience makes him a unique individual. But notice, how he admitted that his ego got him into trouble. Now he partnered with a smart guy that complements him, and they're building a big business, a successful business. So, understand where you're good, understand where you're weak. And having a trusted advisor, a partner, a mentor that you trust, that you can see through the egos, and they can help you do the right thing, right, at the right time. That's who you need in your life. All right? If you don't know who that is, like I said, check out makeeverysale.com. You're going to find a group of us there to help you with that lifetime access to the content in the group. Best deal going for motivated salespeople. All right? Thanks for listening. Please share this. Please leave a 5-star review. And as always, remember to sell different.